Greetings, family. This is Bomani Tayemba, and we are live on Revolutionary Camp, and we're in Ethiopia. We're in the holy city of Lalibela, and behind you is the mountains. We're up in the mountains, and we're here in wonderful Ethiopia, and we have been here for 6 days, journeying around 5 cities, and we're here to share some of the experience and the wonderful things that's going on in Ethiopia to encourage you to travel with us on our future journeys and the future connections to Ethiopia. Here I have two wonderful brothers. I have a wonderful brother and a wonderful sister here, and they're going to share some details about Ethiopia. My brother, can you introduce yourself to our people?
Thank you. My name is Getaye Mangiste, born and grew up here in Lalibela, and working as a guide for 10 years, also a freelance guide and tour organizer to the historic route.
Excellent, my sister.
Hello, I'm Jennifer White, and I did my first tour to Ethiopia in 2010, and this is my second journey here, and I'm blessed to be here.
Excellent, family, and this is my first time, and me and Jennifer, we are on this promo tours as organizers to help boost the travel and the reconnection of our people traveling and reconnecting to their roots in Ethiopia and just Africa in general. But today we're here to talk about our experience in Ethiopia. We've been around 5 different cities in 6 days. I'm sure you're tired, but I'm sure you'd love to do it all over again. Yeah? Right. And our brother, since we're here in Lalibela and this is your hometown, I want you to share some of the history and some of the reason why Lalibela is so special in the history of Ethiopia.
Yeah, as being a very ancient religious center of Ethiopia and built as a new Jerusalem for Ethiopians, before who has been traveling to Jerusalem for pilgrimage, even before Christianity, Ethiopians have been going to Jerusalem. So after King Lalibela himself did the pilgrimage and faced all the challenges, crossing the desert of Sudan, Egypt and Palestine. They have been doing it like for about 6 months for round 2 and dying of hunger, thirsty and so many things. So he was in a vision and ambition of having our own Jerusalem. So when he returned home, he continued his vision and asking help of God. After that, he got a permission or encouragement from God to go ahead with his dream to build a new Jerusalem in Ethiopia, particularly in Lalibela, which was the capital city at that time.
Wow.
For Ethiopians, second capital. The first was Aksum, then Lalibela was the second capital of Ethiopia. So after that, Ethiopians, after King Lalibela built the churches in 23 years, Ethiopians started coming to Lalibela instead of going to Jerusalem for pilgrimage. So this is a great place for Ethiopians, especially from neighboring places, from Gondar, Lake Tana region, from Tigray. Still they walk for several days as a pilgrimage to this holy place. So that's the importance of this place for Christian Ethiopians as a new Jerusalem.
Excellent. Appreciate your overview on it. I didn't know much about Lalibela, just like I didn't know a lot about Ethiopia. I was first introduced to Ethiopia by the reggae music, Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, the Buju Banton, as we were listening to Till I'm Laid to Rest, one of my favorite songs of all time. And as you heard in the lyrics, he was basically talking about us reconnecting to our ancestral land, and then us being fooled with propaganda that the West is the best. And he said, no, the East is the best, but the West is giving you propaganda that, So, we're here to talk about that reconnection and appreciate the overview of showing out the importance of Lalibela. And I live outside the Atlanta area, and Georgia is known as the Bible Belt of America. A lot of Christianity, a lot of churches, and I'm always wondering if our brothers and sisters have thought about, instead of going to, like you mentioned, Jerusalem, go to Ethiopia and connect with your brothers and sisters. And on that note, my sister, what has been your experience here in Lalibela in reference to what our brother talked about, it being a special location for spiritual connection?
Well, the group that I brought before first, when they heard we were, when I first was planning the trip, I actually wanted to skip Ethiopia. Like, can we just skip Ethiopia and spend more time in Egypt? And I kind of forced them and tricked them to come here. Like, no, we're coming here. And it ended up being the most significant part of the entire journey for them, more significant than Ethiopia, because especially the history of the church. With regard to African American culture, the church helped us preserve a lot of our culture, even though, and so the connection between what it's done for Ethiopian culture and what it, where they see themselves in it, and knowing, in America, the picture of white Jesus, from Michelangelo is the most popular version, right? So to come here, but to really see where it all began, and that face must look more like yours than it does MacGyver, I think really moved them in a way that they weren't expecting, and so it really hit them hard. And so and for me, just seeing just all of Ethiopia, from the obelisk, and just all of the wonderful pieces of history that prove the intelligence, the wisdom, and the power of people from Africa. I think and Ethiopia is just huge in that context. So that was huge for me, because I learned a lot too. So that was amazing.
Yeah, that's when you see the connection between the East Africans or ancient civilization of these countries following the Blue Nile, it's a long history back that tied up these countries and the people together. And when we come to the civilization of the people, usually we Ethiopians refer our civilization and our religious story back from the Bible, linked always together to that. From the first time, from the creation, from the rivers, Gion, who circled Ethiopia. So that's what we call now Blue Nile. So from that time, since now, our relation and tie to the religion, the history and the culture of the people, and boundaries are very recent. From time of colonization, they are created that. Before that, the countries were very big. The people, they were big nationalities. You see so many Ethiopian Somali, Kenyan Somali, other Somalis. When you go to Sudan, there are parts Sudan, Ethiopia, in southern Sudan, and from Ethiopian side, and so on. Such kind of things indicate that these are created after colonization. Before that, these nations were very huge and tied up in culture, language, civilization, and history. So now looks like everybody has a very narrow boundary, and which is just splitting one nationality beyond the border, and sometimes with different things they buried, they motivate us to fight each other, but it was not so.
I definitely appreciate you sharing that, and it seemed like it seemed like we always talk about Ethiopia being the cradle of civilization, and you see more and more, and it seemed like the country is reduced in size, but it seemed like it used to be this 3 to 4 times bigger than it is, and now you have all of these other countries around Ethiopia that used to be a part of Ethiopia.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah, even if you go to Yemen and ask about Queen of Sheba,
right,
what you hear is she's from Yemen, she's Yemenian.
Wow.
Why? Before, part of Yemen was united with Abyssinia, and part of Sudan, Somali, Djibouti, such a very big country. When you come to civilization and culture, every country has its own unique culture, its own civilization in every country. But when you come to Ethiopia as being a first Christian country, and also one of the ancient civilized countries who have been trading with Rome, China, India, like in the 19th BC, 100 BC, since long time, since that time, have been just communicating with such civilized ancient countries. So just the civilization has got different challenges step by step with colonization and rebounding, invasions, rise of different religions, and so on. But when you go back without such challenges, we were a very great country, united, and just living in a very interesting neighborhood with our neighboring countries.
Well, brother, appreciate you sharing that, and that's what I talk about. We as a people have been divided, and since we have been divided now, the best thing that we can do as a people now is work to get together, work to reconnect. So myself being born in Jamaica, and living in America, and then having this experience and sharing this experience with my sister, and we're here to talk about really this. What do we really have to do to connect more of our brothers and sisters from the African diaspora, the ones in the Caribbean, the ones in Europe, the ones in America, to connect back to countries like Ethiopia. Now Ghana has been my expertise as far as connecting, and and the expansion now is on to Ethiopia, and I've just loved Ethiopia. I mean, 5 different cities and all these different airports, a black aviation, this all black with this young brothers and sisters running it, from pilots, flight attendants, engineers, maintenance, towers everywhere. I mean, it's incredible, and this is a straight black African country, and this is what I would consider what we call real black power. We hear a lot of people talk about black power, but to have your own and run, and then the fact that it is we can do so much better if more of our people will reconnect to the African continent and put more of our energy in. So I want you to share some words of just encouragement to talk about how incredible Ethiopia is, and then also just let people know that we do have brothers and sisters from the African diaspora that live in Ethiopia.
Yeah. The very important thing is, the access of information. People who have been abandoned from their country for many years and who have different stories which have been happening just like half a century ago, or different things. So the media has a great role in such kind of things. Usually, exaggerates and just put on the front message that's the bad side only, to catch the attention of people and for their media interest. So what we have to do more is just to use different media systems for the availability of the real information about Africa, for the availability of the real information about Ethiopia. Most people may know Ethiopia offer like drought, a land of war, like such kind of things. That's old story. Everybody passed, so many countries passed in such history.
Even America.
Including Americans.
Including America and all the European nations.
Yeah, including Europeans and so on. They have such kind of things once upon a time. So what is the current situation is the most important thing. The current situation of Africa is the renaissance of Africans for civilizing, for modernizing their people, for development, industrialization, for working for the benefit of their people. So there might be problems, as there is a problem everywhere in the world. Regarding elections, regarding politics, economics, it's the same everywhere. So when we come to Ethiopia, now it's a time of renaissance, working for development of industrialization,
Excellent.
working for our Renaissance Dam, the Blue Nile Dam, which is more than 6,000 megawatt power for Ethiopians in Eastern Africa, not only for us. When we come to tourist attraction sites, the tourist destinations. When you go to the south, you will see ethnic groups, their unique culture of life, which is just, you go every steps, every kilometers of like 10, 20 kilometers, you will explore different things, the different ethnic groups. When you come to the north, the ancient civilization centers like Lalibela, Aksum, Gondar, their religious importance and role, religious ceremonies, holidays. In addition to that, the culture of the people, cultural holidays and celebrations, the national parks, Afar, the Dalu Depression, Ertale, such kind of things are very, very attractive and comparable to other very highly flooded tourist destination sites in different parts of Europe or in different parts of Africa also.
Yeah, and I appreciate you sharing that because we've been traveling around and there's just so much to do, and you go into different phases of the culture, and the country is really big with a whole lot to do. And that's one of the things that the biggest misconception is that when I go to Africa, what are we going to do? We have incredible itineraries and many things to do: roots, culture, business, investment, nightlife, shopping, networking. And my sister, I want you to share some of the things that you feel and you see on ways we can do to promote more people to be open, even with the documentation that we've been taking.
Well, I think just always connecting with people's interests is important, right? So we've talked about reaching out to Black churches, you know, and or even, you know, just Christian groups, maybe not necessarily, well, we want Black groups, but Black churches, and also organizations like Black student unions that are on college campuses who are already African-centered, you know, and I think are in a good space to consider themselves, you know, if they see here and see what another alternative lifestyle could be like, you know, that they would be open to that. So groups like that, yeah, and I think us connecting, you know, staying connected with people who we meet here and keeping their businesses going is going to be important.
Yeah. Up-to-date information is very important regarding to cultural holidays and religious holidays. Just from such interest point of view, for people who are interested to be on spot of such holidays. So up-to-date information, when, what would happen in Lalibela, when you come to Lalibela, to arrange the situations for with such conditions or holidays. And cultural holidays, like cultural playing of young girls, in, for example, when you come to the northern Ethiopia, including Lalibela, part of Sakota, there are youngsters, young girls playing Ashandiye, which is usually in August, mid of August. And there are so many cultural holidays and celebrations which need to be arranged in coherence with other religious holidays and with your tour program. Instead of planning programs just randomly, on this day Lalibela, on this day Aksum, on this day Gondar, it's good to have information in advance regarding such holidays and activities, so to arrange things as soon as possible with such links to do it.
Yeah, you basically want to see more people connected to the culture, because that's one of the things we're really missing in the African diaspora. We have lost our cultural ways, and and I feel the best way for us to be, to reconnect with our culture is literally coming back to the land of our ancestors. And sometimes it might take different countries, because this being around the African continent, I've been to 9 countries, and the history is uniquely different in some countries, but it's just all of our culture. And I've learned so much from all of the different countries, and Ethiopia has been very special. Everybody is just so cool, very respected, very peaceful country, and it's the food is incredible. I mean, especially if you're someone that wants to eat have a healthier lifestyle of food. Lots of, I don't really see a whole lot of meat that people are eating, but most people are kind of vegetarians, right? And they eat meat rarely. Yeah.
Usually for average people, they use traditional dish, like a mixture of vegetables and some sauce from cereals. And also from one point, from a religious perspective, also we have many fasting days. Fasting days. So on fasting days we don't eat meat and animal products. That's the point.
What are some of the, I know we were here for St. Mary's holiday, and then I've heard about when all of the people make the pilgrimage to Lalibela. I don't know if that's Easter or New Year, Christmas, and everyone's circling. You know, what would you recommend as some of the best holidays to experience in Ethiopia and Lalibela?
In Lalibela, we have so many holidays, like New Year.
Okay, January 1st?
No.
No.
September 11th.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Or New Year on September 11th.
Okay.
Then
Interesting.
Christmas time.
Okay.
Christmas, that's the time of pilgrimage.
When's your Christmas?
January 7, 6 and 7. That's the best time where we see the commitment of people working for a couple of weeks, 1 week, 2 weeks, old people. Monks, nuns, youngsters, all age groups, working for several days, and even their motivation and faith in doing all that, and singing while they are working, making a line of, just usually they do it in a group of neighborhood or family, so they sing while they are working songs which they use to express their wonders about the works of Lalibela. Songs like praising God for helping them to arrive safely, prayer songs for forgiveness of all the sins, and so on. Even when they camp around the churches for a couple of days, like 4 or 5 days, they sing overnight, making big groups at different places, and they don't sleep much here, and every day they do walk outside the monasteries outside Lalibela. The other holidays are on the Tumkat, 18th of January, and a special Tumkat or celebration, St. George's Day, on the 24th of January, around St. George only. The other holidays, which are common with some other places, like Easter, which is common, and a special holiday is on the 19th of June. That's the holiday of King Lalibela. Dedicated to King Lalibela. That's also a special celebration outside the churches. And then the birthday of Saint Mary, 9th of May.
I'm just taking all of the holidays you're saying and kind of relating it to a culture. In America, we're celebrating holidays that have nothing to do with us and holidays that doesn't empower us, and it does basically make other people rich. Like say, an example, in America, if we celebrate Easter, we basically do things by spending a lot of money in the economy. Same thing with Christmas, New Year's, and so on and so on. But when you mention the holidays in Ethiopia, it seems more of something that's in unison to connect our people and to empower us and for us to practice our own culture and be respectful of our people. So that's why I'm always telling our brothers and sisters from the African diaspora, that's why Africa is so relevant, because it brings us together as a nation and not empower our, the same people who oppress us when we're celebrating other people's holidays. So it's back to the same thing we talk about. We have to get into our culture. And before we close up, I want our sisters to share. Let's share some of the culture and empowerment things that we can reconnect to in countries like Ethiopia. Beyond the spiritual aspect of it, we enjoyed certain things like our cruise on Lake Tana, and also our journey around Addis Ababa.
You bring up excellent points. I think the tour, around the cities of Addis and Bahir Dar and Gondar, and all their historical sites are incredible, and experiencing any of those things I think are definitely life-changing. activities. Those, and then connecting with the people, you know, getting to know where they're from, what their life is like, and you know what they want to do, and seeing how we can work together, I think is an empowerment part.
Perfect. So what is the biggest thing that has impacted you so far on the journey that you're gonna take back with you, so we can get these promos going and get our people to to connect into the ancestral land?
Well, while we were here, we met a brother who is in a leadership position in Shashamani, the Rasta village here, the Rastafarian village. And so connecting with people there to organize Bob Marley Day in 2018 in February is very exciting.
Excellent.
And I think reggae music, anyone who loves reggae loves Ethiopia, because
Absolutely.
so much of reggae talks about Ethiopia and the history, and a lot of people don't know that Rastafarian is so much based on the Bible, you know. Yeah. And so coming to Ethiopia would help Rastas or people who love reggae get a deeper understanding and a deeper connection. Yeah. So that's kind of the angle that I'm looking to connect, at least not only the people of San Diego, where I'm from, San Diego, California, but it will be open to all. So I think music is part of our culture, right? And so it can be a connector, and then getting deeper once we get here, I think it would be. I'm looking forward to that.
Excellent. And my brother, you have any final thoughts?
Well, just I would like to appreciate your efforts to make such a bridge, connecting people to their ancestral land, and it takes, of course, a lot of efforts. Just everything goes step by step. There will be progress, hopefully, and I believe that too. And I wish you all the best.
Well, appreciate it. It's definitely work. Jennifer been rolling for many years, and myself have also. And there's also a lot of other people that's been pushing this. But I'm also reaching out to our brothers and sisters from the African diaspora that, we need more strength from you to support a lot of things that a lot of us are doing in Africa. And no one wants to tell anyone how to live their lives, but we want to see more of our people make certain sacrifices and cut back on all of the things that we just continue to fuel and make America rich, and all these other nations in the African diaspora, and use some of that energy to concentrate and say, hey, let's start making these moves. And the best move to reconnect to ancestral land is tours, and that's the tours have everything organized and structured to make you comfortable, give you a safe way, and also just give you all of the points, and also you have people with experience that's there to make sure that you're good. So a lot of times you're thinking that you're the only person that's interested to go to Africa in your family, and you might not want to go with a group of people, but that's how all of us travel all the time. Every tour that I've been on, most of us are just individuals that are connecting because we most of the time we have people close to us that might not necessarily want to go. So we want to let you know that if that's the case, we got your back, and we'll pair you up with someone, because we basically build fresh new family. And over the years and tours I've done, a lot of people have connected, and people are doing business. Some people have repatriated together. It's a lot of things that can come from it. And so I want more and more of our people just to share some of these videos that we're putting up about Africa. We're out here just in the different countries, recording as much as possible, shooting taking a lot of pictures and sharing from the best of our heart that we can do. But there's also business and investment opportunities here. A lot of different things. So it's not just you just coming on a tour and just spending money and just enjoying yourself. It even goes beyond that. If you want to live in a country like Ethiopia and build business and do things, the market is wide open, as I see it. And when you look around the country, all you see is so much development and so much opportunities, to where those of us who are in certain positions in the African diaspora can say, hey, I can connect into this industry and be a part of the growth. And that's why we're going to give a lifetime of energy for repatriation. And I know I said we was going to close out. Anything else you'd like to share before we close up?
Well, I wanted to thank Itai, first of all, for taking your time to spend the day with us and take us to see my good friend's mother, and to see the inside of the home in Lalibela, and get a personal coffee ceremony from mother, and get to see how sister's doing, and just check in. We got some incredible homemade beer, and We were fed some delicious injera, and you know, the people of Ethiopia are extremely hospitable and very kind and very gracious, and so yes, we look forward to sharing that with all of our folks in the diaspora.
Excellent, family. And family will keep in touch, and the journey continues.
Thank you.